Hi, very good evening to all. My name is Bhavana and our subject is foreign trade. This is for Bcom first years in first semester for general students. In the previous lecture, we discussed what are the remedies or measures for correcting the balance of payments in international trade. Up to now, we completed our second unit. Today, we are entering our third unit. Third unit name is Indian Trade Policy. So, today we discuss some important concepts and introduction of the Indian trade policy. Let's see here. Third unit, that is, I will mention, please wait. It is third unit. Unit 3, Indian Trade Policy. Introduction. What is the Indian trade policy? The trade policy governs exports and imports of a country. Trade policy means exchanging of goods and services from one place to another. So we can say there is exports and imports of a country. It is one of the various policy instruments used by the country to attain the goals of economic development. It is one of the various policy instruments. Trade policy means it is one of the instruments to attain the goals of our economic development. By using this trade policy, we can achieve our goals. So we can say it is one of the policy instrument used by a country to attain the goals of the economic development. The trade policy governs exports and imports of a country. It is one of the various policy instrument. We can treat it as it is an instrument by using a country to attain the goals of our economic development. For achieving our economic goals, we use the trade policy. Trade policy is a set of guidelines. Trade policy is a set of guidelines and instructions. For trade policy, there are some guidelines and instructions. These guidelines and instructions are established by the Directorate General of Foreign Trade. Who are established the guidelines and instructions for trade policy? Directorate General of Foreign Trade in matters related to the import and export of goods in India. Trade policy is a set of the trade policy sets some guidelines and instructions. These guidelines or instructions are established by the Directorate General of Foreign Trade in matter related to what are the matters related to the import and export of goods in India. The foreign trade policy of India is regulated by foreign trade. This foreign trade policy is regulated by the foreign trade. In which regulation the foreign trade policy is worked? The foreign trade policy of India is regulated by Foreign Trade Development and Regulation Act 1992. According to the 1992 Act, the restrictions and guidelines are prescribed in these acts. It is regulated by the foreign trade policy. The main objective of the act is to provide. What is the main objective of act? Is to provide the development and regulation of foreign trade by facilitating import into and augmenting exports from India. The main object of this act, the Foreign Trade Regulation Act. What is the main objective of the act? Is to provide the development and regulation of foreign trade. Foreign trade means exchanging of imports and development of exports and imports. By facilitating import into and augmenting exports, we have to facilitate the imports and we have to encourage the exports from India. The main objective is facilitating the imports and encouraging the exports from India. This is the introduction part about the foreign trade. What is the Indian trade policy? The trade policy governs exports and imports of the country. It governs exports and imports. It is one of the various policy instruments used by the country. It is one of the policy instruments used by the country to attain goals of economic development. For attaining the goals of the economic development, trade policy is a set of guidelines. It is the set of guidelines and instructions established. The set of guidelines and instructions are established by the Directorate General of Foreign Trade in matters related to the import and export of goods. The foreign trade policy of India is regulated. The foreign trade is regulated by the foreign trade. Foreign trade policy is regulated by the Foreign Trade Development and Regulation Act 1992. Now we are following the rules and regulations according to the Act 1992. The main objective of the Act is to provide for the development and regulation of foreign trade, and by facilitating imports and to encouraging augmenting means how to encourage the exports from India. Directorate General of Foreign Trade is the main governing body in matters related to the foreign trade. Who is the main person? Directorate General of Foreign Trade is the main governing body. It is the main governing body in matters related to the foreign trade policy. Directorate General of Foreign Trade is the main governing body. It is one of the main governing body in matters related to the foreign trade policy. In India, the trade policy, that is export-import policy, is formulated by, in India it is formulated by the Ministry of Commerce. In our world, we can say it is a Director General of Foreign Trade. There is a Director General of Foreign Trade. He can regulate all these matters. But in India, the Minister of Commerce have take the import and export policy. Government of India under Section 5 of the Foreign Trade Development and Regulation Act 1992. In India, the trade policy, that is export-import policy, who formulated? It is formulated by the Ministry of Commerce. Government of India under Section 5 of the Foreign Trade Development and Regulation Act 1990. Our rules and regulations are formed by the Ministry of Commerce in the Act 1992. But the world, it is a Directorate General of Foreign Trade. In India, it is a Ministry of Commerce. Next, up to now, it is an introduction to the not only Indian trade policy, complete trade policy including foreign trade also. This is an introduction. And next, what are the needs for trade policy? Why we are studying what are the need for trade policy? The government imposed restrictions as a part of protective policy in initial stages in order to protect the Indian industries from the foreign competition. Why the trade policy is needed? The government imposed restrictions. The government has imposed some restrictions of imports as a part. Why they are importing restrictions? Because they want to protect our home products, means our country products, in the initial stages in order to protect the Indian industries from foreign competition. For example, we say in foreign the goods are produced at very cheaper cost, and we in foreign products we are getting at very cheaper price. But in India, our products of our raw material has converted into a finished product. It take very huge prices. Then our country is unable to give at low cost. So from that we have to help our Indian products. The government has to put some restrictions for foreign products for encouraging our Indian products. The government imposed restrictions as a part of protective policy. The government imposed restrictions as a part of protective policy in initial stages, in order to protect India, in order to protect Indian industries. Because of why they put instructions? In order they protect the Indian industries from the foreign competition. Under the foreign competition, they want to protect our Indian industries, so the government has to put some restrictions for importing such goods. Next, according to the government of India, restricted the foreign competition through the system of import licensing. In which way they are restricting? By using import licensing. In import licensing, already we discussed, we have to take license then up to the limit. For that, up to the limit, for the particular goods only we have to import it. And import quotas, in the previous class we also discussed there are different types of quotas, like unilateral quota, bilateral quota, mixed quota. So there are different quotas based on product and import duties. Based on these factors, the government had restricted of importing goods and also foreign goods. According the government of India, restricted the foreign competition through the system of import licensing, import quotas and import duties. Import duty means we have to pay certain import excise duty, custom duty while we are importing the goods. Based on all these factors, the government has to do some restrictions and protect our country goods. This is the need for trade policy. What is the need? The government imposed restrictions. The government is imposing restrictions as a part of protective policy. As a part of protective policy, the government imposed restrictions in initial stages in order to protect the Indian industries. In order to protect the Indian industries from the foreign competition. We are protecting Indian industries from foreign competition. Then for that we have to do have to put some restrictions of foreign goods. According to the government of India, restricted the foreign competition through the system of import licensing, importing quotas and import duties. Based on import licensing, import quotas and import duties, based on these factors, we have to put some restrictions for foreign goods. This is about the introduction of the Indian trade policy and also what are the needs for the trade policy. I hope you understand. If you have any doubt regarding up to now, please let me know. I definitely clarify your doubts. Thank you so much.